Okay, we are live.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Wait.
Hello.
Okay. Start
Ready?
over. Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hello, I'm Justin Freed. This is inThirty, and this is our Google I/O 2014 recap episode. We have a very special guest who is cheering us on with his dad in California. It's Chaim time, and we'll call him Nathan time. Does that work?
Sure. We could call him Nathan Time.
All right. Way to go, Nathan.
So I unfortunately wasn't at I/O. I, however, was driving down the PCH and saw all the gorgeous views while listening to the keynote.
All right, so I was going to say you weren't looking at your screen in the car, hopefully. And Paul, you're with us from Boston, is that right?
Yes, I am.
All right, we missed you last week. Good to have you back. So there were apparently 2 interruptions during I/O, 2 protests. One probably a little bit more sane than the other. One was protesting robots. I guess they were worried about like the Matrix-style takeover of humanity. And the second
That was
one
the sane one, right?
That was the insane one, Paul. That was the
Okay.
insane one. And then the sane one was protesting evictions and high rents in San Francisco and that Google buses and all that. And I thought that the third interruption was going to be Chaim trying to break in, but apparently he decided no. He was just going to drive away and listen to the keynote and be a good.
Well, Justin, you've been on the PCH, correct?
Yes, I have.
Okay. What choice would you take? The
Look,
PCH or an I/O extended?
I want my cardboard cutout
I do
Oculus
too.
Rift thing that they
I
gave
do
out
too.
at I/O and 2 smartwatches apparently. But yes, the PCH is very nice, but that's there all the time. Google I/O, comes but once a year. But you were not arrested for trying to break in, Chaim. You behaved
No.
yourself.
And
And now you're what a couple of 100 miles away? Or
yeah,
no,
we're actually in Inglewood.
Okay.
We drove
and you're up to good or no good.
We are up to good. We had a great time at the wedding that we went to.
That was a Tupac reference that neither went over both of your heads, I suppose. But okay.
Yeah. Look. As much as I would have loved to have been there and see everybody and have a good time, I mean, I could have gone to an I/O extended if they would have let me know a little earlier to change our whole trip around. But either way, I'm happy that Google streamed it. I'm even happier. Look, T-Mobile was a champ. I mean, I got no service on the PCH till about San Luis Obispo. But from there, we started the keynote, and I think I have 10 minutes left.
It sounded like you said San Luis speedboat, but it's Obispo. Yeah?
Obispo.
Okay. All right. Anyway. All right. So, Paul, how familiar are you with the announcements from today? We were going to offload maybe some of the synthesizing the best ones to you, and Chaim will just have to cheer you on as you rattle them off. Sorry to quiz you like this.
I watched them. I think I watched at least half of it. So
I don't know if we could just list the announcements in 30 minutes. Like, honestly, I don't think we could just, bullet point them.
There were a lot. Okay, but this is the question that I have, Chaim. Is there something that I can sign up for today? Is there any gimme for today?
You can buy 2 of the smartwatches.
I mean, a gimme. I want something I can sign up for and start using that's brand new, spanking, shiny. Something that I can just
the 2 watches.
For free. A service that I can just that they announced. Google Fit. Will it start aggregating?
Okay.
Fit?
Just like WWDC, it was a developer preview of L, which I think is a cop-out, which is a huge thing. No, it's L. It's like they couldn't come up with a name like months ago. Don't they have enough psychologists and Googlers that can say, I wonder if lollipop versus licorice or lemon meringue pie would have.
I think
it's stupid.
Or it could be lemon heads or
stupid
Laffy Taffy or whatever else.
I disagree with both of you. I think this is good marketing because L is for the developers and it gets people thinking and it gets their mouths watering. That's kind of a pun of sorts. And then by the time they want to announce what the L is, they'll figure. Maybe they're trying to ink a
Here's
deal
what
with
I like.
Nestle. I don't know.
Here's the thing that I like, and they said this enough times. They showed the numbers. 93% is on the current Google Play services, which was the exact number to represent. They're saying that 93% are getting the current updates that Google is providing. You take the operating system out of it, which I'm not thrilled with.
Okay, so you're talking about the thing that you were saying a couple shows ago where if you have an Android that's updated just enough you can, through the back door, get Google Play services, and then through Google Play services, you get the majority of the Android updates. But this doesn't include security updates and stuff, right?
No, well,
this is
well, here's the thing. Yes, you're not including security updates, but here's the thing. The security updates, like malware scanning, that goes through Play services. So the security updates are an SMS vulnerability that's specifically related to the hardware.
Paul, does it just like make you kind of sick to your stomach, the idea of having to have malware scanning on your iPhone potentially? I mean,
no, you don't have to do it. Google does it. It is server side. It's not client side.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you were doing. Okay,
that would make me feel sick.
Okay.
Almost like having an antivirus on my computer.
Exactly.
Well, the problem is that we talk a bit about this on the security show. People still download security scanning software that is redundant to what Google Play Services does.
Okay, I mean, so we're talking about the boring introductory period where Google had whoever did it give out the numbers, and they were good according to you.
Sundar Pichai, and it started off with him saying, we need to get the next billion people. So we are targeting these low percentage countries or continents: Africa, South America, Asia, India. Well, he specifically spoke about India, and he was saying this is how we do it. They're creating basically their own platform for these countries, saying this is that low cost thing that they were going at, like the low cost iPhone that we were hearing about. This is the low cost Android phone that has hardware specific things. Like in India, they said they need a radio, so it has a radio. But they said these are really good devices. Think Moto G, that was $129. It's $129, and it runs, and it's pretty good.
Okay, so we're talking about like 80% of the performance for day-to-day use of a flagship device, even for much less. I mean, the FM radio thing in India, that's like an interesting idea. So the theme of this Google I/O though is convergence, and to me the most important thing. It's obvious. I talked about it a couple of shows ago, but it's the unified UI. That they're going to use internally and that they're going to promote for developers. That's
so Matthias did 3. I mean, he must have done 20 minutes on quote unquote Material, which is their new whole brand. It's basically the anti Johnny Ive. So instead of flat.
Go, Paul. What's
the design aspect of Google I/O is amazing. The whole the material design. It's a beautiful looking interface that all the UI elements. It's definitely big competition for the people who like the design aspect of Apple.
It's vertical kerning for those who don't get the reference.
I don't get the reference.
Okay, don't worry about it. I can't talk about it that much because I was driving, so I couldn't.
You were listening, you couldn't see. Okay.
I couldn't see.
The snapshots indicate that, first of all, the fact that they're at least thinking about it from this perspective, and the fact that they're willing to unify across the devices, I think is a very smart idea. And the design looks good. I think they chose the best elements of it to bring to the devices, and it makes them. It's easy to see it from the Moto. What is the Motorola smartwatch called? Did we lose you? Oh.
To take your lead with it. I want functionality in my design, so we go from there. Then we saw then we saw what's it called? They talked about the notifications in the lock screen. Did you see that? I think that's one of my 2 favorite things.
I didn't. I saw the you mean on the watch?
No, we're talking about still in the Matthias talking with the design. The lock screen notifications and they took a pot shot. They said we've had keyboards and window shade notifications for 5 years now. They're now talking about the convergence that you're talking about. The watch, the Chromebook, everything is now all meshed together. But lock screen notifications.
You know, I just want to address the pot shot thing. As engineers, they know that the way that they've done it versus the way that iOS has done it is totally different. And that the sandboxed keyboard is a good deal different, especially with the permissions, than the Wild West way that that Google allowed for it to happen for many, many years and might still be allowing for it to happen. So they must have known that, and it's at a PR level, it's a fair pot shot to take. But Paul, have you had a chance to glance at the new design for Google Material? What do you think? How do you think it compares to iOS in general, and frankly to OS 10?
It's beautiful. The animation aspect of it, I think, is really, really impressive. It looks really good. I like what they're doing with it. I think it's a fair shot in comparison to iOS.
And it seems to me that looking at Google Material, the one that's left out in the cold then is Microsoft. They're dealing with Metro and trying to piece together a design language that works from their phones to the desktop to wearables, and they're not there yet. So it also shows that Windows 8 is almost, to me, obviously it's still relevant, but the design for the web and for web apps is more important ultimately. You install Chrome, and then you don't have to look at Windows 8 so much. So it shows Google's power, frankly. So that the Google Material is the thing that glues everything together. Chaim, can you take us through the other devices, like the other hardware and Android announcements that they made?
Well, do you want to talk about the car first or the watch? Which is more important?
Well, you take us through Google Fit and you can okay. Google and Android Auto and whatever in the.
Well, I was gonna dismiss Auto as just it's cool. It uses the hardware buttons and everything else in your car. And there's going to be an SDK, and they're going to do some cool apps. I mean, is there much more to say beyond that?
Yeah. I guess it depends on how smart they are about what it does for you in the car. Right now, CarPlay doesn't take note of the fact that you're driving, even if it gives you traffic notifications. If they make it so that I think it's ridiculous to see like email subject lines even while you're driving. So maybe it'll only be SMSs or Hangouts and calls or something. I don't know. It's got to be more than just a screen in your car. Otherwise, it's irrelevant.
Well, I mean, so that's what I saw it as. And again, I'm listening to it, but I didn't see that it was going to be a screen. I didn't see it was going to be on your phone. It's clearly going to be on. It's going to clearly be voice dictated to you because you're pushing that button and it's all voice activated. But then there was some sort of scene where he was changing the playlist on something. I don't know what it was, but.
So Paul, how about the idea of having a Nest in your house that talks to Google, a wearable that talks to Google, a car that talks to Google, a mobile phone that talks to Google, and Google being the keeper of your searches whenever you're searching. I mean, convergence, good or bad? Is this what? But can Google pull off the integrated digital life that they show in this 2-minute video that's supposed to kind of to bring everything together?
It's good and bad. On one side of it, it's kind of terrifying because Google owns you. But I mean, the experience seems good, and ultimately that's what it comes down to. If the experience is good, and people are gonna use it, and they're gonna completely forget about the antitrust aspects of the whole situation.
Well, the problem is that Apple is sort of doing the same thing with continuity. Everything is managed by Apple's cloud, which unfortunately hasn't shown that it's worked. The only thing that Apple holds to it is that they're not making money off their end of it. They're making money. They're making money on the hardware. They're not selling your information.
Do you think how much configuration would be required from a person that happens to have an Android wearable and an Android phone and an Android tablet and a Chromebook and that uses Google Fit and uses Android Auto? It's the thing that it seems like you've just still got to dive deeper into the devices themselves to get things configured on Android.
Remember when you said a few shows ago, maybe this is more like 6 months ago, they have with the multi-touch gestures, you basically said that you don't have to use the multi-touch gestures, but they're there if you want to become a power user. Remember saying that?
Mm. Yes.
So basically the idea is, with the Chromebook, you turn it on, you put your Google password in. Everything it comes on, it has Gmail, you're logged in, everything's like that. Same with your phone. You put in your Google credentials. It pulls from the cloud. It gets your apps. It doesn't work 100% that as easy as I'm describing it, but it does work. It will download everything, download the data. It works like that. I'm sure the watch is the same way. I'm sure it's going to be cloud-based rather than you have to connect it to your computer and do some stuff. So I think they're starting to realize that, yeah, it needs to be simple, and the default use case will work for 95% of the people.
Well, do you think it's interesting that over the course of a couple of months, at least the areas of competition for new digital growth became clear, that it's the car, it's health, and it's on your wrist. I mean, I just think it's amazing that those three things. I mean, certainly there were rumors.
And television.
Well, TV's been around. I mean, everyone's wanted to own the living room for a while, but these things, while there have been rumors, it seems like Google is staking ground here. Apple's already done it. Amazon is kind of getting into it a little bit slower with the phone. But Paul, is this? I mean, for the next couple of years, this is where this is the new space, right? I mean, I/O and the Worldwide Developers Conference. I mean, do you agree with that? That make it clear that that's where the new fight is? It's health, auto, wrist.
It's definitely health and auto. I'm not sold yet that it's wrist. I think it's wearables. It's wearables, definitely. I'm not sure I would say wrist.
So when you say that, do you mean like necklaces or stuff that you put to your belt?
I don't know. It could go a million different ways. I think it's still really up in the air. I feel Google tried first with the head with Google Glass. They're still trying with that. Now they're sort of experimenting with the wrist. Apple hasn't released anything. I'm not sure that we know exactly where we're going with wearables yet.
So Chaim, let's just take a diverge here for just a second. Are you familiar with the update to Google Glass that I guess you won't be getting for free?
Well, look, the sneaky way is to claim a defect, which, by the way, my Google Glass has been restarting an inordinate amount of times.
That's a huge coincidence. So after they bump up the default amount.
No, it's not. It's not. No, this has been going on. I just haven't bothered with it, but I may start thinking about this is really going on, and I don't know.
Okay, so real quick, they bumped up the RAM by default and the battery life with a bigger physical battery and bigger milliwatt hours for the battery. Is that right?
Yeah, I have a feeling that they're going to take care of the Explorers. They're going to take care of those Gen 1 people. I'm not sitting there finding a way to.
The best way to have taken care of the Explorers was to take their $1,500 and have bought Apple stock at the same time that they bought Google Glass and give it over to them at the end.
Well, here, so the next part was they were talking about the wearables, and so Paul's in the different generation that he doesn't wear watches, and I think that's where Apple is still waiting
I wear a
to
watch
see.
every day.
Do you really?
Yes.
Did you always wear watches every day?
I don't think that watch wearing is generational, Chaim.
Absolutely, it is.
I had worn a watch up until like a few of them broke, and then until I got my next watch, I wore a watch. Every time I have a watch, I wear it.
Turn around and ask the other person in your house if she wears a watch.
I think when a guy gets his first job, they often get a watch. I mean, you just start wearing a watch.
No, you get a watch after working 25 years at the company.
That is the retirement Rolex. That's a different.
Well, okay, so
what is your point here, Chaim? I mean, people want to wear stuff that's cool, and people want blingy phones and blingy stuff in general. So if there's a watch that is blingy, look, if Kobe Bryant is going to wear it, and I don't know who Google's going to get, like Lil Wayne to wear, like whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Like people will wear the
Here's the thing. So I screamed in excitement when I heard that one of the sensors would be built into Android Wear was a pedometer. Now I can take my Fitbit and actually destroy it rather than lose it and find it 3 months later, and say if it will tell me my steps, which I've said from day one, if it can give me a pretty ballpark accurate measurement of my steps, which my phone has done. On the first of every month, you go to Google now, it tells you how far you've walked. It's generally accurate. If I can get a pedometer on my watch to do it, I'm happy. I'm sold. And if it's under 300, or I really want it to be 249, it's even better.
What is going on here with the watches? Is it Motorola that's making these things? Is it there's an SDK for Android Wear? But Is this a Google branded watch? I thought, is Motorola
No,
still
no.
making
So
devices or what?
yes. Okay. So Sundar Pichai or whoever Batai or one of the people there said that in your goodie bag today you're going to get either the Samsung Gear Live, I think they called it, or the LG. So again, they're making the SDK. The manufacturers are making the hardware. I don't think we're going to see a Nexus watch. And the Motorola, which everyone's getting in their goodie bag when it comes out later, is going to be later on in the fall.
Okay.
So to answer your question, it's the SDK and the manufacturers are producing the hardware.
It strikes me that this is a blunder marketing wise, that to spread it out across a million different manufacturers, like Google should have doubled down on a 1-to-1 fight with the iWatch and left it there, because when there's a field of competition, it's like Apple by default is now dividing and conquering.
Remember that Motorola is still currently owned by Google. So if you wanted a hardware partner, it's definitely going to be what's it called? It's definitely going to be Motorola until the deal goes through, and even then, I think they have stuff in the pipeline.
But I get that Google can't prevent LG and Samsung from making watches, but it seems to me that without the de facto, like, Google blessed wearable device, they just automatically lose, because especially if it's on price, people and where I'm at, I'm not going to get an Android that's just a wearable. I'd be more inclined to have, like, really dip my toe into the Android pond a little bit deeper with a tablet. So my point is that if people are already on Android, if they're going to spend $250, it almost makes sense for them to get, I guess, an iWatch. If the iWatch can function without an iPhone, I don't know. But
no, I would bet that it wouldn't. I mean, you saw that continuity and the phone calls and everything needed a Bluetooth LE connection.
Okay, so we handled the wearables was big. Google did. There's Google Fit, which we know what it's going to be. They'll be, it'll aggregate health data. Maybe it'll go back to the Google Health way of doing things, where it can give data to the doctors, and then Android Auto. So those are the things that match up almost 1-to-1 with Worldwide Developers Conference. What were the surprises during your ride down the PCH, Chaim?
I heard this. I got a spoiler alert that Chromecast was going to mirror all content on the TV.
So that's an Android update that has to take place. So that's not even a Chromecast side update.
That's a server side. That's a server side, and Google said later in the fall. That was one. Oh, and the other thing before we move on was that and we'll talk about this on the security show, the unlocking when it's next to you. So your watch, you're wearing a wearable, or I'm hoping Google Glass, will unlock your phone, and
Paul, can you hear Chaim?
No, he cut out.
I think recording server side, so maybe you and I are now recording over him.
No, we're good.
Okay.
So I missed the last part, but I'm excited about the unlocking, and I'm excited about the Chromecast and the features that it's getting, and the Android TV SDK, which will hopefully be integrated with the TVs, and more set-top boxes will be brought to it.
Okay,
I thought that was cool. I thought Android TV was cool.
Then you two dig into that, because I don't see what the surprise is even. What is going on with it?
Well,
what's up with
the first part was
Android TV?
They're trying to capture. They're trying to capture They're trying to capture the lean back experience, and they failed with a Google TV hardware unit. So what they said is just integrate it into your smart services. So now you're going to get Samsung, Sony, and the other partners, Philips and Sharp, that are going to integrate, instead of their smart TVs, you're going to have an Android SDK on top of it, and basically Google and the manufacturer is going to control it.
I think there was a big need for that.
Of course. Go ahead.
You look at all these smart TVs, and the smart features aren't so good. So you put a Google backend in there, it's instantly improving all the devices, and then you make a set-top box, and all of a sudden Google's making a real dent in the television market, like they haven't been doing.
Is the implication then that there's going to be multiple interfaces that people have to choose from when they switch to the smart TV? They'll have to choose between Samsung, whatever, I don't know what the hell it is, but
Well, they can skin it, I guess, but no, it's gonna be an Android controlled environment. So if they want to skin it, I guess, but
so it seems there's another element, which is that
you can.
Okay. Can you two chime in here on whether or not a long time ago I said that the Chromebook was going to become an Android device, that Chrome OS was going to become Android? I want some credit here, because apparently now Chromebooks can run Android apps.
Are we done with TV? Are we done with TV?
Sure, let's be done with TV.
I'm cutting it short because I thought that's kind of the extent of it, but the big thing to me is
we have to talk about the reason schools bought iPads and Apple TVs was because of the AirPlay feature, and now this $35 dongle that you can just issue to every teacher and say, bring your own device. You can cast from whatever. Can now cast your screen right onto the TV, and we went from a $600 purchase to a $100 purchase.
Okay, I mean, I don't think it's quite that simple. I mean, it kind of remains to be seen. Chromecast also, it's still, remember, anyone that has a device that can cast to it can do that. There's still, you can fight over it. There's no permissions control yet.
Well, and then the last thing was you don't have to be on the same Wi-Fi network. So if your friends come over, you don't have to do the exchange of the Wi-Fi password. But okay, we can move on.
So okay, but then the thing that we can leave with, because how much time do we have left? Time.
4 minutes.
Okay, is that the Chromebooks now run Android apps? However, that's possible because most of them don't have a touchscreen except for the Pixel. But it seems to me that the Chromebook is becoming Android on a laptop. I mean, you
are right. You did say that. And Sundar Pichai, I remember, is vice president of Chrome, and then he became senior vice president of Chrome and Android. So yes. So
the next thing then is that the Chrome browser will be able to run Android apps, and Google gets an operating system without having to compete with Microsoft, and that is the smartest thing to me, because the iOS apps are never gonna. There's the Mac App Store and the iOS App Store, but they're in no way cross-platform directly. I think Google is getting there, and will be it's the new default operating system for the web. And between that and Material, they're flexing their muscles, and this is the place where they might be the most ahead of the second place for cloud services and for having control of email and search. The iPhone has much closer competitors than Google Search does, is my point. So I think that this shows that where Google is really winning.
Well, I think that they saw that they're not going to win the physical PC that's not cloud. They're not going to win the design with Apple, so now they're trying to go after this segment. And look, I've kept on saying I love my Chromebook. I wish it did a little more. And now we're saying, oh, here we get some Android apps. We get the ability to continuity, as we were saying before, to take the WWDC term, to get the Hangout notifications on your phone, on Chrome, and everything else. So I like it. I'm ready. I'm ready. As I'm already Google-fied, I'm ready to jump in more. I want a more powerful Chromebook.
Paul, is there any Android app that you've ever wanted to try but couldn't, and now would potentially be able to use on like a Chromebook or something? Would you buy a Chromebook before you would buy an Android phone? I guess is what it comes down to.
No.
It just doesn't do it.
And speak to that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I switched to iOS, is because there were always these apps I wanted to try on Android but couldn't. I don't see that happening in the reverse. There's no Android apps that I want to try that I can't use on iOS.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, that's pretty much how it is. So, Chaim, when you sum it up, though, I mean, it seems like the competition, at the very least, is raging between Apple and Google, and that's good for all of us, right?
I think that I think at some fundamental level you have to make a choice, and Google doesn't care what that choice is. If you want to go into the Android ecosystem, Google is going to support you. If you want to go into iOS, Google will also support you there. The same things that they're announcing for iOS as well. So it's as long as Google provides an app for it, you're good. Now it's just pick the ecosystem you want and go from there and be happy. But if you come to the Google side, we
Uh-oh.
will. So we have 18 seconds left. So
repeat what you said, because the important synthesis of the whole show is what I missed. Repeat it one more time, Chaim.
oh, sorry. Well, I was going to say that Google says, and they said this keynote, we don't care which services you use. You like Google, use Android. If you like Apple, use Apple, and we're going to provide you with services on both.
Okay.
If you want to tinker and do more, and you trust us more, come to the Google side. We're just as good. We have parity, and we think you'll be happy. So,
all right, and that is all the material that we have for today's show. All right, thank you, Paul in Boston and Chaim in California. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.